I'm Margaret.
And I'm Colleen.
And we're the Cousins Weird. And this is Terrible Trends, episode 10.
I can't believe we're on 10.
I know.
It's so cool.
These ones are so fun. I have so much fun with these.
Yeah,
I think
me too.
Because they're short and there's not there's no pressure. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And you're just finding out weird shit that happened in history that people used to do, and it's like, people were stupid.
Yeah, and I like that we don't tell each other what it is.
So it's a surprise.
So
Colleen has no idea what I'm talking about.
And we're always like, from each other. We try to see who can gross the other one out more or make them laugh more or whatever. It's like a competition.
At first I thought, because this is St. Patrick's Day week, I was going to try to find something weird to do with beer.
Right.
But I couldn't really find it. Like, what I found was, like, all over the place. So it's like, not what I'm going for. So instead, we're going more for the color green. Because St. Patrick's Day, you gotta put your green on.
Or you
I'm
get
wearing
pinched.
Green. I'm wearing green. I got green eyeshadow on. My eyes are green. I always have green. I love green. It's my favorite color. But green, historically, for fashion, green was a hard color to get. Usually they were more on the brown side, or gray. They weren't like true
I know
green.
what you're gonna talk about. I know it.
So I'm talking about Sheele's green.
Yes.
And this man, in 1775, Carl Wilhelm Sheele invented a green colorant. And he was kind of a chemist. He'd already invented a yellow dye that somebody else stole the patent from him.
Jerks.
And it's known as Turner's Patent Yellow. So he was familiar with the whole process of inventing a color. But he made this color by mixing. He would heat sodium carbonate, and then he would add arsenious oxide and stir it slowly until it dissolved. And then he would take it off the heat and then add copper sulfate to it, and it turned this brilliant emerald green color, which looked like nature. It looked like green leaves and green grass and like the stem of a flower, and it wasn't the color. It was very vibrant. They called it emerald green, and it was like a green that people hadn't seen in clothing before. So it instantly became popular. People wanted it. They wanted it in their house. They wanted it on their clothes. They wanted it everywhere. And it was like, especially in the Victorian age, this was the color that was in vogue. Like, everybody wanted green everything.
I want that green in my house.
Yes. About a year before the color went into production, he wrote to a friend that he thought users might want to know about its poisonous nature.
You think?
And it troubled him. Not so much that he stopped production on this color,
just it
but
bothered him
it was poisonous because arsenious oxide creates arsenic. Like after he heated it and added, he basically made arsenic.
Right.
And it was green. So, yay. This green colorant was used in making dresses, waistcoats, shoes, gloves, trousers, socks, everything that was cloth could be dyed green.
Right.
So anything you could wear or use in your house could be dyed this color. It was used in wallpaper, rugs, textiles, paint, also as a food coloring.
Oh, good.
And it was used to dye candles and said children's toys also.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, because what do children do? They stick everything in their mouth.
If it's not arsenic, it's lead poisoning. It's whatever. Someone's always trying to kill us.
So, like in the 1800s, the Victorian era, because we know how these Victorians like to kill themselves with their clothes.
They die for fashion.
Green dresses were all the rage. And it's like the original one was called Sheele's Green after. Carl Wilhelm was just excited that he could actually name this color after himself.
Right, because
the yellow one got stolen from him. Yeah. Yep. And there was another green made in a similar fashion called Paris green. Because I guess what would happen over time is this green could turn black.
Oh.
Because of the oxidation.
Age.
Yes. So the Paris green, it still happened, but not as quickly.
Okay.
But I mean, you can still find dresses and garments dyed this color in like museums.
And they're still that color.
And they're still green.
Wow.
Like 100 years later or 200 years later. Some of the side effects of this lovely green color would be skin sores or ulcers. Like,
good.
Especially where the garment touched your body. You could get these over time. And not to mention the people manufacturing and using this
on a daily basis.
Another thing that they used this color in was for making fake flowers, because that was like a big thing. Like people would hand sew silk flowers for putting on hats or putting on dresses.
Embellishments.
Or just in people's houses. I mean, they're sewing things, touching all day. And
all day, all long.
This colorant.
All day long. Constant.
Right. Day after day after day. So you can get skin sores and ulcers on your skin, like all over your face, all over your body, in your underwear area.
In your privy area.
In your privy area, yes.
As we learned last week.
Yes. Diarrhea.
Great.
Convulsions.
Oh, good.
Headaches. Hair loss. Vomiting blood. Cancer. And death.
But did you look good?
You got a beautiful green color.
Beautiful green
I
color.
would have been dead because I would have been like, oh my God, I need that color green.
Right? Me too.
And people they correlated it with getting sick, but it didn't stop them from using it. They still wanted it.
Let's just talk about everything else in the Victorian era.
Yes.
They didn't care if...
And a lot of it was...
Well, for whatever reason, about anything.
And honestly, a lot of these people thought it was fake news. Like, they're like, this isn't... I don't believe it. That doesn't happen.
This color can't make me
Wearing
sick.
this color isn't gonna... And honestly, if the color is just sitting there, it's fine. But, like, back then, they didn't have fixatives to fix dye in your clothes. So you're wearing it... You're wearing gloves.
It's rubbing on you.
Your hands are sweating. They're making it wet, and then it absorbs into the skin. Same with wallpaper. Like, there's a leak. There's mold. There's wetness. It would seep into the wallpaper, and then outgas arsenic fumes.
Great. So people are just keeling over in their house.
Are starting to get sick. So what do? They throw them in a bedroom next to the green wallpaper.
Yeah.
And let them lay in the bed and get more sick and die.
Yeah.
Because that's what they would do.
Yeah.
Because that's fun. In 1858, 21 people perished from arsenic-laced hard candies.
Oh, goodness.
It's referred to as the Bradford Sweets poisoning.
Because he used green?
Because it was green candy.
Oh, Jesus.
And 10 years later, the UK legislators set limits on the acceptable amount of arsenic you could put in food.
Well, I mean, think about now in Monsanto. Or Monsanto. How do you say
But this is actually... arsenic is what rat poison is.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you can only have a little bit of rat poison in your food, but not this much. Only this much.
Corn. It's a registered pesticide now. So really, have we changed much? I don't think we have.
Not really. Nope. And Monsanto is the devil.
Yeah.
And they're going to see this and they're going to like, shut us down. Okay. 1861, a young woman, she was 19. Her name was Matilda Schwerer. Sorry.
Schwerer.
She worked making fake flowers, applying green dye to make them look more realistic. She died. But first, they said, and this was one of the accounts from the paper, so, you don't know. They were very dramatic about things.
Well, they had to sell the paper.
They said at the end she was throwing up green vomit. The whites of her eyes turned green, and she claimed that everything she looked at was green.
I think they may have stretched that
embellished.
a bit.
But a little bit of embellishment there.
The news still does that too. Have we changed? No, we haven't.
We haven't. No. And it is theorized that Napoleon,
who we talked about a little bit,
resided in a house which all the rooms were painted green because it was his favorite color. Died. He had died of stomach cancer, and they thought that this stomach cancer was caused by arsenic poisoning because of the damp in the walls, and every room of his house was painted green arsenic. Yeah. And when they had done analysis of his hair, there were high levels of arsenic in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Short little man liked his green.
Yep. In the 1930s, Sheele's green was used as an insecticide. So.
Oh, good. Well,
sprinkle it around,
again,
kill the insects and yourself.
Pesticides, corn.
And I mean, eventually it lost favor. But it wasn't due to the harmful effects of it. It was just because other things.
Out of fashion.
It was just out of fashion. Like people
didn't
want green anymore. They wanted something else.
Just like anything now, after a while, it goes out of fashion, and then you want other stuff.
Yeah. So it was like.
It makes me want to, like, have a bunch of stuff in that color, but not with arsenic. It makes me want to wear only that color.
But honestly, even to this day, that whole like people looking at things that are green and thinking, "Oh, that's bad for you," is still around. Like people still look at green dye. Yeah. They're like a gross look on their face.
Yeah. Well, because it looks like antifreeze.
Antifreeze is blue, honey.
No, windshield washer fluid's blue. Antifreeze is green.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's like a lime green, isn't it?
Well, it depends on what kind you get, yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying. This time of year, people drink green beer. Because I wonder if they
Well, that's what they said back then too. Like that was something that like hotels and restaurants would do is they would add green, arsenic green, Sheele's green food coloring to
because it was fashionable.
People's drinks because it was fashionable to drink.
It wasn't for St. Patrick's Day, obviously.
Because it was a novelty thing.
Yeah,
it was like,
color
oh my god,
so
it's
vibrant.
Green. Look at the color of this. It's wonderful.
It must have been like when Wizard of Oz came out. And the Technicolor. It was like in real life.
Didn't they use the same kind of copper oxide coloring on the witch? And like when she was done at night, they had to like remove. They'd use alcohol wipes to remove all the color off of her body. Otherwise, she could get sick and die.
And she wore that shit all day long.
Every day. And then she got burned. And then after her when she got burned during the
production.
Yep. They still had to use alcohol wipes to remove the food coloring from where she was burned.
We have to do an episode on the Wizard of Oz alone because there's so many things we could talk about.
Yeah, there's some good books too. Or on Judy Garland. She was kind of a sad soul.
A lot of old time actresses and actors it's sad. Like Rock Hudson, how they treated him. He was gay.
Yeah.
How they took advantage of him. Oh, it was awful. If you read about his life. Anyway. So we digress. So we wanted to touch a little bit about Happy Period.
Yes.
So Happy Period North Country is we're getting our non-for-profit status. So we'll be our own non-for-profit. But right now we're just like a community outreach where we collect period products and give them in the hands of people who need it, because you cannot buy period products with your food stamps. That is the least provided thing to people in need. And no one thinks about that.
And you can't use your if you have like a Medicaid and you can get your prescriptions filled, you can't use that
to get
for period products.
Period products, right. So we, what we do is we put collection things out in our community. We have drives. We also have links, and I'm going to put our Happy Period link in our link tree so that you can go if you would like to support and if you want to start something like this in your own community, please do so, because if you support us in our community, it stays here in our community. But if you live in Arizona and you think this is a good idea, you go for it. Start one there and do the same thing. But if you want to help support us in North Country, we're supporting Jefferson, Lewis, and St. Lawrence counties. Please, you can go to our Amazon wish list that I'll put in our link tree, and you can support us through that by buying products. And we have some people that actually have the subscription you can do through Amazon, where we get sent stuff every month from that person. That's what they do every month. They donate to us, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
It's a very important thing. Period poverty is a real thing. People deciding if they're going to get, pay their rent. They pay their rent. They have nothing left to buy.
Pay their heat bill or buy tampons.
And this is happening now. This wasn't something in the 1920s. This is happening today. Also, there's taboo behind periods still. Like, why are we? This is a bodily function. It's how our society is created.
Right.
Without those things happening, you wouldn't be here. So I do not understand the stigma and the taboo-ness of talking about your period. Educating young people about their bodies and their periods is so important. And eventually we would like to get to a point where we can do more education on it and remove that stigma. And then, someday maybe even work towards getting some legislative stuff happening where we can get products for free. Everyone should be able to have access to. It's a basic human need.
Yes.
For people that bleed, so.
Yep.
Yeah. So we like to put that out there. So Happy Period North Country is on Facebook. You can like us there. And you can find our wish list on that page. But I also put it in our link tree for here. But we really like to promote that through any outlet we can, because it's really important to us.
And don't forget to mark your calendars for April 20th and the 21st. So we're going to be at AnchorCon in Clayton. I said April?
Yep.
Oh my God. It's August, not April. August